Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of NASCAR Radio. Just kidding. Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Hobby Hotline. This is episode 136. I'm your pal Val. With me is the man, the myth, the legend, Hall of Fame, PSA Hall of Famer, Logan King NASCAR. How are you?
I'm doing good. Glad to be on this morning.
I thought you'd like that. Yeah, so that's how I do NASCAR Radio. If for folks who don't know, but anyway, good morning everybody. Um, Hope everybody's having a great Saturday. Um, I think it's going to be a good one. I think there's a few sporting events today. Being in the Carolinas, uh, between women's basketball, college basketball, and men's basketball. So
Yeah, I'll be honest. I have not kept up with basketball during March Madness this year. Once the University of Memphis lost, I lost interest.
well, North and South Carolina, the college basketball haven between the women of South Carolina Gamecocks and um, and then of course you couldn't turn on anything without the Duke UNC, which I can't believe. I'm not a big basketball fan, but college basketball, that this is the first time they've ever met in the brackets. So pretty interesting.
I had no idea. Wow, that's
Yeah,
pretty
as
neat.
long as they've been playing basketball and stuff, that yeah, and then the meet in the Final Four. So
That's
good
amazing.
morning, John. How are you? That '70s card show. Ah, big Premier League game. Okay. Yeah, it's like the only other sport to draw more side eye in the hobby than racing. Yeah, probably. I think there's
Yeah, probably.
closet racing fans and closet soccer fans. But I did see. I guess England is going to play the U.S. men, so I'm hoping that that they have a good showing. So I know for years, they've been talking about the men's soccer, so U.S. men's soccer. Let's see. What are we going to get into here? Let me put the link in the chat. Stand by. If anybody wants to call in, audio, video, however you want. Alrighty. There's a little bit of news this week, I guess, with PSA. We were talking before. You said there's $100 million funding for them.
Yeah, of course. PSA has rebranded themselves as Collectors instead of Collectors Universe. And yeah, they did receive $100 million in new funding. And from what I understand, that was raised from existing investors. So I guess the investors that uh, uh, initially invested in PSA love PSA, or I should say collectors. I keep saying PSA, my bad. and put more money into collectors. So that says a lot, I think, for Nat Turner. They have a lot of faith in what he's doing, and he's doing a lot of good things there. Now the company, it was bought by Nat Turner's investment group for $853 million, and now the valuation of that company Collectors is $4.3 billion. That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, in such a small time frame to uh, just astronomical. So I didn't realize. So they're rebranding to collectors, but it kind of has that right. There's collectible as well. So
Yeah,
it's
Collectibles is the fractional group,
right.
but
So
they're collect able, with ABLE at the end instead of
right,
IBLE.
that's kind of weird. They kind of get that name close to that other one. So, but maybe that's me. But yeah, so Collector's Universe was made up of a bunch of other smaller, I guess, brands, right? So, kind of like I don't know why I'm thinking like Coke, but they have Coke, and then they have all the other different soft drinks and other or chips or whatever. But um, with the coin division and the grading cards as well as the autograph authentication, I'm sure there's others I'm missing.
They've got Golden,
Yeah, oh, that's right. Yeah, they snap.
Legitimate.
Yeah, that
They
was
had cement, and
before,
then they've got
yeah.
hard ladder. So,
Yeah, well, now, yeah, it's even more now with all that, technology, auction house, vault, right? So that was the other thing too, I guess, that they've added a vault.
yes, they've added a vault, just like Geraldo. They've, I think Geraldo's getting into it too. But yeah, they've added a vault service as well. I don't know how I feel about vault services. I mean, I guess you know from my perspective and what I collect, I don't have the need for a vault per se. But there's a lot of people, a lot of high end collectors that have these investment grade cards, like 86 Fleer PSA 10 Jordans and T206 Wagners and 33 Gaudy, Babe Ruth cards. And yeah, you want to lock those things up and protect them. So I can see where this is a very much needed service.
One other thing I didn't think about was I had actually sold a card and it went, to a vault, and I think the way they paid through either PayPal, whatever, it was more than the normal fee. So uh, I either contacted PayPal, whatever. But basically, like, long story short, is I think they paid, um, with a currency other than U.S. dollars, and that they were having it then shipped to vaults here in the U.S. So it's kind of kept all here. So
Yeah, that's one aspect of the vault service I don't know anything about is, how much does something like that cost?
yeah, I don't know. I could use a vault for the UK because I'm trying to get some 20, I don't know, 2021 tops F1 sticker books. Uh, Tops website UK sites out of them, and of course US doesn't carry them. And then there's another website I found that has them, but of course they don't ship to the US. So it's like I can't get them. So I can see that being, somebody, since the US is such a large card, um, presence, I guess, that it makes sense to, if you're overseas, right, to get a vault here and to help with some of that, as well as, like you said, kind of lock up some of this stuff. So
Yeah. Like I said, the investor collector, like I said, I can see where they would want this. But here's the thing, I it's not necessarily a problem I have with it. It's just a fact of having a vault is it's almost like an NFT kind of thing when you think about it. You've got this really cool, great card, but you can't ever hold it or touch it or anything like that. And so to me, it's almost like it could be. I mean, it's real, it exists, but still, it's almost like an NFT in a way because you can never really look at it, touch it, feel it, and have it in your presence.
let's see, we have a caller here.
Oh gosh, I think
Hello,
I know
Jeff.
that guy.
Can you hear me? No, we can't hear you.
No, we can't hear you. I think
Hello,
I know
Jeff.
that guy.
Oh, you're on. You're have. Can you hear me? We can't hear you.
No, we can't hear you.
No,
Oh,
you're
I
having
know
a
that
playback
guy.
through the. Oh, you're on. You're have. I can hear him. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. We can't hear you. Oh,
try
he
try
just
again.
yep. Oh, well, maybe now, let's see. Jeffrey there? Little technical. It looks like he went from video to audio. Oh, so we're hearing, I guess, the audio from the PC, but not, from his microphone on his machine. So, all right.
Okay, well, try again, Jeff. So yeah, anyway, going back to what we were talking about with vault services and things like that, like I said, you know it's not being able to feel it, touch it, see it. I guess I guess that's part of the problem of having a high end card like that, because honestly, I wouldn't want to keep something like that in my house. Uh, especially if people know that you're a collector. You know how things are these days. We're in different times, and people are there's a lot of collecting theft going on. Seems like these days, especially with the break-ins of all the card shops and things like that. So you know I'm hoping it never gets down to a point where people are breaking into houses and things. But I definitely wouldn't want to keep a card, any kind of high end 6-7 figure card in my house. And there's the other things too. The fire or floods or any kind of natural disaster. So yeah, the vault service is a much needed service. And bank safety deposit boxes, I guess, are okay. But I think these vault services, they know how to treat the collectibles and they know how to store those collectibles, versus the bank doesn't know anything about stuff like that.
Yeah, so I don't know if the vaults, so that '70s card show, the vault seemed to favor those that making buys to flip, avoiding tax ramifications. I don't know if that is necessarily true or not. I'm sure.
No, there is some truth to that. I
Well,
mean,
I didn't say it's not totally. There is some of that, but it might be also to accumulate and then ship back to one place or not. So he's got some other. Um, I thought he had. Oh, it's like he said, keeps his heavy hitters at the bank. The pen pals otherwise. But all right, well, so let's see. Let's see if Jeff's back here.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
yep.
Yes, we can hear
All
you.
right. I don't know. Audio problems this morning. Sorry.
Sorry, it happens.
How's it going, guys?
It's going great. It's Saturday, nice here in the Carolinas. So
Yep. Good to see Mr. King NASCAR on there. Logan, how you doing, man?
I'm fine, man. I hadn't seen you like in forever, it seems like.
I think it's since the last Hall of Fame induction.
Yeah, that's been a couple years now.
Been pre-pandemic, but I you don't get two of the biggest NASCAR collectors at one place at the same time. So figure I'd call in and see what's going on. But that whole vault thing. I don't know. I'm old school. I'm a collector. I want to touch and feel my stuff. So, but I guess if you're investing, and as with this hobby has completely changed from years ago, but I want to touch and feel and hold my cards and put them on my display on my desk, and have
what is that?
Have some eye candy laying around.
What is that?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's King Henry. I don't know if you can see it. New York Rangers. It's only a 7.5, but I'm not going to put my 10 stuff all over my desk. That will stay in my personal vault on a rainy day when I want to go dig through it. So
That's cool. So what have you been collecting lately?
Really, I try to just focus on hockey. It's just become too expensive to dabble in everything. As you guys can definitely probably relate to. Hard to find hockey going to big box retail here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So a lot of my stuff's been online, whether through a dealer direct or skimming on eBay trying to find stuff cheap, or check out my cards. That's probably check out my cards is probably the number one place I go. But yeah, hockey. I mean, I run into soccer at Walmart, Target, run into basketball, but hockey, if you find anything, it's only MVP stuff, which isn't worth investing in my opinion. So
do you have a Gretzky rookie by any chance yet? Or are you working on that? Or
I do have one.
Yeah, I think you got it from me.
Yeah, I think I got it from you many years back.
Well, if everybody doesn't know, that's my brother. So
pretty wide. Yeah. Got it back from PSA during the pandemic. I was it came back a PSA 4. I'm happy with that. I just wanted to make sure it was authentic. But yeah, having one of those is definitely was definitely a priority to have is PSA graded. So now I'm focusing on trying to get as many Ovechkin rookies as I can before he breaks the record.
That's what I was going to say. I knew you were working on buying some wax. Ovechkin year, not necessarily the super high end, right? Because the Young Guns is what, crazy money, I'm sure.
Yeah, Young Guns. If you want to drop a couple grand, which I don't know most people that can. That's a collector, an investor definitely. But yeah, Young Guns #1 by far is the chase card to get, and then second, in my opinion, is the Fleer Ultra, as those were inserted. You get 7 on the hobby side. I'm sorry, the retail boxes. You got 7 rookies per box, and there's 42 in the run. So your chance of getting a Ovechkin are 1 out of 6, if my math is right. But also have you have Crosby in there and Lundqvist. So not a bad find if you don't get a Ovechkin. But yeah, wax has gone up like crazy. Obviously, the more attention he gets, the more press, the more people are going to want his card. So
Definitely, it's going to go down as one of the greatest there. And of course, that's like epic rookie class. So that wax year.
Yeah, I don't know of another year that had that many stars in it. I know the next year had Malkin. The 2015, 2016, you have Matthews, and you have Connor McDavid, and lately we've had a ton of high-end rookies, and those guys are getting a ton of attention too, with Matthews scoring 50 just the other day. His stuff's unbelievable. Anything Young Guns on it has just exploded.
Now, I saw that with a Kreider. I had picked up a Kreider. I don't know if I talked about it on this show or talked about it on the NASCAR radio show about Kreider, but I picked it up for like $20. I don't know how many. Maybe it was last year, or whatever. But with him getting close to 50 as well, it's gone up. On ComC to the 150 or something like that, which is crazy.
Yeah, I think they have 14 more games left, and he only needs 5. If I'm correct, I know he didn't get anything last night and lost to the Rangers, but I mean to the Islanders. But
yeah, we won't talk about that.
Yeah, we'll just focus toward tomorrow with Philly. So yeah, just hockey right now. I did buy some of those NBA hoops, which had a ton of inserts in them. So at $9 a pack. It was a little bit of a sticker shock getting to the register, but
there's a lot of that going on, I think, now.
Yes.
Yeah, good inserts. But hey, it's something to open. I think everybody loves the endorphin rush of busting a pack open. Not so much like the whole Vegas break, but $9 per pull is definitely better.
Definitely. Is there anything older you're collecting, or I knew you were working on some other sets or stuff, but I don't know if you had given those up or if you had changed focus.
Yeah, I was focusing on 85 Donruss PSA set. Had almost 100 cards. That's a large set, expensive set. Then I came to reality thinking I'm never going to finish that in my lifetime. So just work on top stars, and got rid of some commons, but now I'm getting back into it. So 85 Donruss, being a card collector in the 80s, other than the 84 Fleer and 84 Donruss, I mean, that was the set to have, and very, very difficult set to get 9s and 10s in due to the black borders. But that's my other kind of secondary focus.
Interesting here. Hold on. I got there's Adam. How are you, sir?
Hey, sorry about
No
that.
problem.
Hey, Adam.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We were just talking about some of the grading and some of the hockey and stuff like that. But Jeff, I was going to ask you. I actually talked to Logan about this and didn't get a chance to talk to Adam. But like, do you remember maybe your first big card that you purchased? That maybe you were buying packs, and then there was one card you were wanting to buy. I know, like for me, I told Logan the story, but back in, I guess it was early '85. I started to get back into it with '84 Topps Traded, being a Mets fan with Good and stuff, and then in '85 collecting. But one of the kids, I guess it was in high school, had a '69 Reggie Jackson. He was selling. I think he wanted. I guess we were working on a price, but I guess it was like listed for $50 in the price guide, and I bought it for 25. So that was kind of my first big card, which actually still have. So Jeff, I didn't know if you had something that you had bought that one of your big cards, and we'll go to Logan and Adam after.
Yeah, sure.
Well, always remember the card that I didn't get. In the mid to late '80s, always trying to find an '84 Donruss Mattingly, pull one from a pack. Never got one. All the shows, I remember the Merchandise Mart in Charlotte paying $6, $7, $8 a pack back in the late '80s, and pulling it and opening the pack and never getting one. But the ones that I did get with '87, when Mark McGwire was a rookie, and trying to learn the Donruss print run, so you could go get those not blister packs. It was the rack pack, but they were cardboard backing too, and you can figure out who is in front of Mark McGwire, so you knew who to buy or what packs to buy to get one. But I guess the '87 Donruss McGwire was really the only other one. But I did finally get a Don Mattingly about 15 years later out of a pack, so that was at least rewarding.
Awesome. Adam or Logan, anyone of you guys?
Yeah, I can go. So, like, when I was first getting back into cards, like, I think one thing that is so different than, kind of where we're at now is, like, when I was going to, like, in Boston, like, Newbury Comics to, like, look for packs of baseball, like, Topps, and it was the packs that they had were just the regular Topps flagship and then the opening day. And the opening day packs, I think, were, like, $2.99 for like 12 cards or something like that. And then the series, it might have been Topps Update or Series 2. I forget which one it was off the top of my head, but that one was like, I think it was like the same, like the 12 cards for like $5.99. So I was like, oh, these opening day packs must be better than the regular Topps packs. And and that just shows like how new people getting in just don't even really know the difference between the products. So like I bought the series, I think it must have been Topps Update, because when I opened up the pack, I got a Shohei Ohtani, and that was one of the first cards where I was like, this, because like I think that was during Shohei's rookie year, so it was like this new player who kind of came onto the scene, and we all know what Shohei Ohtani has become. But even back then, there was sort of this like allure, like when Daisuke Matsuzaka came over from Japan, like he had the gyro ball, which I think wasn't even actually a real pitch that he had. I think that was just like a marketing ploy to get him more money over. And I mean, he played for my Red Sox, so that was kind of disappointing that he didn't end up having a pitch that was actually the gyro ball. But either way, so yeah, that Shohei Ohtani that I pulled out of the Topps Update pack. And then that's kind of when I dove into more like, okay, so I got this card. Where else, or what are the other Shohei Ohtani rookie cards? Because when I looked it up and I was looking at like, prices at the time were probably like $3-4 for that card. But like there were other flagship cards of his that came earlier, and that kind of sort of got me down the rabbit hole of like learning what the difference between Series 1 and Series 2 is, and learning the difference between Topps opening day and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that Shohei Ohtani is probably one of the first cards that I think I still have it actually in. I don't think I ever sold it, but it's like one of the first cards that really I got, and I was like, wow, this is such a cool card.
So before you go, Logan, I was just going to finish up. So like that 69, I realized that, I found a card shop that had 69 comments. So I actually started building that whole set from that Reggie Jackson. You maybe think of that, Adam, when you were talking about that. So that's pretty cool to still have those. And of course, Ohtani lore. So, but Logan, you want to go?
Oh gosh. My story. This is from 1979. Okay. I'm like, 18, 19 years old. I'm a bag boy at local grocery store making $2.10 an hour sacking groceries, right? So a dealer collector friend of mine, I had been wanting to try to get a 1952 Mickey Mantle, right? So he called me up one day and he said, man, I just bought this collection and there's a 52 Mantle in it, and you're the first person I thought of. He goes, I'm selling it for $1,500. This is in 1979. And of course, this is right around when the hype of this card really started. So I told him, I mean, I'm just a kid. I went, I'll take it, you know, not thinking of the consequences of how I'm going to get this money, right? So I started working at the grocery store. You know, I was like, you know, working every day I could, you know, getting overtime. This was also back in the days where you could go and collect bottles and return soda bottles for money. So I was doing anything and everything I could to raise money. So it got to a point where I had about, I think about $800 saved up. And because I told him he said he would hold it for me. So then he calls me one day and says, I got this guy who's got cash money and he's willing to pay me for this thing. He goes, I'm going to give you another week to get this money together. I'm going, oh, crap, man, there's no way I can get $700 in a week. So I thought, let me go see if I can ask for a loan from my employer. Right. So I went to the owner of the store because it was a locally owned store. And he knew me and he knew my dad, knew everybody. Right. And he said, sure, I'll loan you the money. We'll just take it out of your paycheck. So I got the $1,500, bought the card. My dad absolutely was having a fit. He said, man, you are wasting your money. You don't know what you're doing. You're blowing all your money on this card. But I said, trust me, Dad, I know what I'm doing. So I ended up getting the card. I had it in my collection for about 7 years. And in 1986, by that time I had gotten married. We wanted to buy a house. So I sold it for a really nice profit then, which I still wish I had it now, but I put a really nice down payment on my first house. But I did get that card, and I wish I had it today because it probably would have graded about, I would say, probably a PSA 6, probably. So, man, if I had that card today, but coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, fun times, man. You never know. I mean, here we are, you know, over 40 years later, and look at the prices.
I think that's also so funny to like hear a story like that and like realize how quickly or how drastically things have sort of changed. Like you know, you tell the story like it took you like a couple weeks to get the money for this card, but it's like if you think about how the market moves so fast now, it's like it's such a huge contrast. I think it's a really interesting perspective. I think for people who you know are new into sports cards, they don't realize how much of a difference there was between now and then maybe when you were buying that card.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think Adam, that's a great point because, um, you know, you talk about late '70s, no internet. You either had, you know, you probably had a lot of local shows or local networks and mail order, right?
yep. I mean, you had people like Larry Fritch and places like that you dealt with. You didn't. I mean, you had your Sports Collectors Digest, and you deal with people out of that. You like I say, you didn't have the internet, and you wrote letters. I mean, I remember back then. I was working after that. Actually, it was before that. Before I went to work for the grocery store, I worked at the Carousel Snack Bar in one of the local malls, and they had the discs, the MSA discs that they were giving away. That's the whole reason I went to work there was to get the discs. So so I had a whole bunch of sets, needless to say, and I traded a bunch of those sets through SCD with people. You know, they were advertising. They'd have like the Holiday Inn set or the was it the Tasty Freeze or you know all those different sets that they had back then. And that's how you traded. I mean, you wrote a letter, said, "Hey, I got all these cards. Would you like to trade?" And then they'd write back, "Yeah, I'll trade." Then you send them the cards, and they send the cards. So it wasn't like anything like it is today.
Yeah, Adam, I think, you know, kind of to your point where you were saying like now you can with eBay or ComC or whatever, you can uh, buy it, pay for it, you know, and get it shipped to you. Of course, I guess I was collecting more in the late '90s, where you buy it or sell it on eBay, then you send them a check or money order. Money order if you want it faster than you know check. Otherwise, you got to wait for a check to clear, and then you know they mail it back. They mail it to you, and so um, it was a long process as opposed to now.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of John's comments. He's saying that card is still around here somewhere. It is. The last I heard where that card was, and I probably need to try to follow up on that 52 Mantle, was that one of the local police officers here in the town I live in has that or had that card. I don't know if he still does or what's happened to it. I need to find out because the officer, I was friends with his brother, so I kind of have a in on that. So I need to try to find out more about that. But yeah, and John's also right. Sporting. I remember the Sporting News. They had ads for cards in those days, um, and also there were not any fake 52 Mantles that we know of back then. I think that was like before all this fake business started. But like I said, that was just right at the time when all the hype for rookie cards, especially the 52 Mantle, really started kicking in. Was like in the late 70s.
When was the Beckett or first annual Beckett?
Oh gosh, I can tell you stories about Beckett. I remember when Dr. Beckett was sending out surveys for prices that you would fill them out for what you sold for, all that stuff, and you'd mail them back into him. That's how he was getting his prices back then. This was back in the 70s when he first started doing all this and tabulating all that. And I never thought in my wildest dreams that 40 something years later I would actually know him and meet him. So it's funny how things work out. But that's how he started. I don't think his price guide started. I mean, I don't really remember. It was
Uncle Rich says 1979.
okay. So it was around that time. So
Okay, because I was just wondering how you came up with a price for the Mantle, and I know and I started collecting in the early 80s, but I think my first Beckett was maybe 84, and I remember going through that, looking and memorizing stuff, whatever. But I do remember seeing ads when they sold sets. It wasn't like a whole complete set, right? So I was working on the 69 set, but they sold them in series. So it was like 1965 series 1 would be this price, series 2 would be this price, and they would like list out some of the stars that were in the series, but it wasn't like, all right, I can buy the whole complete 1969 set or 67 or whatever. It would go by series. So I was just curious about like in 79 when you were pricing that Mantle, how that came to be. But I guess through the shows and whatever else there was, before Dr. Becker officially had that price guide or whatever. So
yeah, no, I mean it was like what you said, Val. I mean it was word of mouth. And like I said, Dr. Beckett was really the first one to bring all this information together and publish it in such a way to where people actually knew what the standard prices and things were. Of course, this is like way before eBay and everything that we've got now. But yeah, a lot of it was word of mouth, and of course the guy I bought it from, he did a lot of shows. In fact, after that I became kind of like his, I don't know, his assistant. He would go to Chicago, St. Louis, Houston. He'd go to all these shows on weekends, and it's like almost every weekend it seemed like I would go with him to these shows and help him with setting up his tables, doing all those things. And I learned a tremendous amount from him about how to deal with people, how to deal at shows and things like that. So it was a lot of fun times back then. Of course, I wasn't married, so I could do all those things. And it wasn't until the late or mid 80s till I got married that those things kind of had to stop a little bit. I still did it, but not as much.
very cool.
Another kind of fun story about like knowing someone that bought the card that you sold in 2019. This is kind of along the same lines of the previous story. Like 2019, Series 2 baseball it was on release day, was Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. So I'm from Boston, so that was a big game. I mean, they stunk up the joint at home, so they lost, so that was unfortunate. But I remember I went to my local card store and I bought a hobby box which was actually the first time I'd ever purchased a hobby box in 2019 of Series 2 baseball, and I think it was like $50, which is crazy if you think about kind of some of the prices now. But like I remember opening some of the packs during the game, and the big card that came out of that box was a 1/1. I don't know if they still have the insert, but it was the letter patch insert, like the over the jumbo letter of Alex Bregman. It was 1/1, and I was like, "This is awesome!" So I put the card up on eBay. You know, it was sort of like I had to kind of figure out what the pricing was, because there weren't. It was a 1/1, obviously, so I had to like look at some of the other prices and then look at their cards, and it ended up selling like the day of the first day of the National in 2019 when I was there. I remember walking into the National and kind of walking around. Then I look at my phone, I get the eBay alert that the card sold. So I was like, wow, that's crazy. So like that card essentially funded some of the stuff that I bought at that National. And then later on, like 6 months later, somebody posted the card on Instagram, and I was like, that's crazy that like how the world works sometimes, where like you sell a card and it just like randomly popped up on Instagram. So I messaged the person and they're like, yeah, I bought it from this person. And I remember the person's eBay. So I was like, wow, that's crazy that like a card can kind of end up. And that's one of the interesting things kind of with social media nowadays, is like we have so much more access to like rare cards sort of like that. And it was just really interesting to see like I sold this card and then this person ended up getting it. So it was definitely kind of another cool story of like another card that I pulled out of a pack that sort of ended up on social media in a way.
That is cool. You know, my son, he collects football Hall of Fame autographs, and he's had some similar things like that where he's bought a card and he sold it, he regrets it, and he somehow finds the chain of where it went and he ends up getting it back later. It's really funny how all that works now. But you know, back in the 70s and 80s, there's really almost no way you probably could have done that.
Right.
You'd have to make the show circuit or whatever and be at the right place at the right time and look at the right case, right? That's one thing about like selling online versus going to a show. If you're looking for something, being able to see everything in every case, and then having something, if you're selling, the right person coming looking for the right thing and seeing it, right? So
that might be kind of an interesting feature, maybe for either eBay or some website to add, I guess, at some point. Like if somebody instead of you're selling this thing, it's like I'm looking to buy this card, and it's like you search the player's name of cards that someone's looking to buy, and it's like if you have that card, then maybe you can message them. Which I guess it maybe would have to be a different platform, because I know eBay sort of doesn't want you selling they don't want you using their platform to sell off of the platform. But I mean, I think because you see on Instagram all the time, people will post like looking to buy these players, but I think it would be kind of interesting if somehow some website was able to do like an eBay search with like I'm looking to buy these types of cards. I think that'd be kind of cool.
I can see that for like, say you're trying to create or those jumbo patches or spell somebody's name with a letter patch or whatever. So that'd be interesting.
I like John's comment. The only inserts we chased were pink and covered with powdered sugar, which he's talking about gum.
Yes.
and I remember, I'll tell y'all another funny story. This is this crazy stuff. I've got so many of them, but
well, as they said, as John said, you were at ground zero of the collecting. So you and Uncle Rich.
Yeah, I really was. I mean, we were back then. I mean, but anyway, I remember having my bedroom was upstairs, and when I was a kid back in the mid 70s, and I had a whole drawer full, literally, of Topps gum. And not only did I have that, but if my mom and dad only knew the stuff I had, I had in that same drawer, I had Twinkies, the ding dongs, the ho hos, all those things in there too. And I had a guy. This has been a few years ago. I ran into him at the mall, and I didn't recognize him at first. He told me who he was. He goes, and I go, "Oh my gosh, it was a kid from the neighborhood back in the day, right?" And he told me one of the funniest, greatest memories he has of being a kid in the neighborhood was me being upstairs in my room, opening up my window and throwing out Twinkies and ding dongs and things to all the little kids, and they were scrambling for them. And he said that was the funnest thing he ever remembered from being a kid. So,
That's
you know, of course, I
awesome.
was collecting all the hostess stuff back then, all the hostess cards. So, but that's what he remembered because he didn't collect. He just wanted Twinkies and stuff, you know.
But yeah, when they had all those food issues, you can't eat all that stuff. I had
No, you can't.
I bought bags of the Utz chips when they had the baseball promo, whatever. So I was bringing a bag of chips, and Jeff will tell you we went to a show, and I just put the bags of chips out there for folks at the show that if they wanted, because I just wanted the pack of uh, the trading cards to make that set. So. Yeah, I wish we had some more of those food issues, but I don't know if
Yeah,
we'll
I
get
miss all
some of
the
that
old
or not.
regional issues back then and all the small issues. Those were fun times, and honestly, some of my favorite things from back then were the discs. I love those MSA discs. Um, and in fact, I still have one set that I kept all these years of the carousel discs from when I worked there, and I've actually got it graded. I've got so many people that have wanted to buy it. I'm going, no, that's that's just too sentimental for me. There's no way I'm going to let those go.
Yeah, I remember the Slurpee disc at the bottom.
So I think Uncle Rich must have came over to my house at some point in time because he said, well, he also had the adult magazines in his room. Yeah. Oh well.
Let's see. Just looking at the comments here. Any other save comments? So it was 94. 94 was 84 that the monthly Beckett came out. So before that, I guess you got your annual Beckett, and so prices were kind of fixed, I guess, for the year until the next annual Beckett came out, and then in 84, then at least the prices could change monthly. And to Jeff's point there with the Mattingly, I remember the Mattingly, being red hot, and
Don't forget the clear update set 84.
yeah, I do remember that. I
But
think
that weekly.
what's that?
It seemed like that price changed weekly.
Yeah, I remember buying one of those. It was $180 back in, I guess it was 86, I guess it was. It's right before we moved down south.
I guess Uncle Rich knows. Yeah, I know John likes food issues too. Um, I've always been a big fan of those. You know, some of the things that I like to try to collect back then too, and they were still, I mean, they were affordable, but if you were a kid, they weren't as affordable. Were like some of the '50s regional sets. You know, like the Red Heart dog food cards were, those were affordable. I mean, but then you had like the Dandies chips and the rodeo meats and SK cards and all those things back then. You could still afford those, and now those things are very rare and they're also quite pricey.
So, the last one that I remember would be the Utes, right? So they had 2 years, and then with the pandemic, they stopped. I think it was 19 and maybe 19 and 20. They did the the Utes, but
The
it doesn't.
baseball, right? Yeah, I
Yeah,
think I remember
yeah,
those, the
baseball. But
tops ones.
so I would have expected them to do a little better than they have done because I haven't checked prices lately. But I don't know if it's just maybe the player selection or because it was only regional because they're only Pennsylvania and the few states around Pennsylvania. But any ideas on that? I thought since it was baseball would have been, or there are other issues that I'm missing.
I think I remember. I think we have those chips in like the Northeast area, but I don't remember them ever having the cards like during the time. Which I mean, I guess maybe I wasn't looking for them. I guess, but um, yeah, I mean, I think the food issues would be an interesting touch. I mean, I almost wonder if it's like sort of like a marketing thing where they're trying to test out a bunch of different things, like A/B testing, like which is more popular. Like, you know, I don't know if they would ever do like a Doritos one, or like you know, or maybe Cracker Jacks, I guess, would kind of seem like a good fit there, I guess, or maybe at like a baseball game, like if you get like a hot dog or something. I mean, I think that they should try and integrate. They should try and figure out how to integrate cards into everyday things more often. Like if you're going to a game, I almost feel like you know, it would be cool if you could get like a Topps pack. Like if Topps, you know, did like a, even on National Baseball Card Day, if rather than them having, you know, a national, which I think the set is cool, but rather than having like an actual National Baseball Card Day set, which you can get, like maybe they do, like they just give out the regular flagship packs at the game. I feel like there's got to be a way that they could do that, like one of the days, or, you know, the first, you know, whatever 10,000 people that enter the stadium get a pack of Series 2 or something like that, where the cards, like people can, if they want to, they can look up the value of the cards, where the National Baseball Card Day cards aren't necessarily something that somebody would be looking up. So I guess maybe figuring out a way to cost effectively, I guess, because, like, you know, for Topps, that's obviously something that they're going to look into. They're not just going to do something and kind of have it go into the universe without it being cost effective or whatever. But I think that they could do that. I think that there could be a way that they could figure something out where they're giving away maybe flagship rather than the National Baseball Card Day, which I think it is a cool set, but I just think that it would get more people into looking at the cards and figuring it out, where the National Baseball Card set isn't something that people are necessarily looking into.
Gotcha. So let's see. Uncle Rich says it's in 2019 and 2020 for baseball. So when you were mentioning that about at the games or whatever, I do remember like Upper Deck would have a sheet, but I don't think they were perforated or anything. I think it was just kind of a sheet with some card pictures on them or whatever. Uncle Rich might remember that, but yeah, I think, you know, the tie in the sport with the hobby would be pretty cool to do as well.
Yeah, I think about that was the early '90s. I remember Hornets games. You'd get the either 6 or 9 card panel giveaways, which were kind of cool. But yeah, then you talk about stadium giveaways, and that's a completely different element of marketing, whether it's bobbleheads or bats or shirts, or of course talking about cards. But you know, for stadium giveaways now, they're identified on the schedule early, and you know there are premiums attached to it. I know for the Rangers, they have Lundqvist bobbleheads, but you have to buy select seats, go through a certain link. It's not just walk in the door like it used to be. So you know, wherever there's money to be made, they're gonna make that adjustment. So
not sitting there at the entrance with boxes and boxes of bobbleheads, giving them out like the old days.
right.
Let's see. Oh, here's talking about like little leagues. Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's see. There's the one. Yeah, the Upper Deck sheets were all exactly that. They were also, for the most part, serial number. That's true. I think that the main sheet was, or the big sheet was, but they weren't perforated or anything like that. But yeah, bring back bat day. I remember me and Jeff went to a few of those bat days.
Yep.
Dad took us to a Yankee game. I can't remember. I got like a Oscar Gamble bat, but I traded the kid behind me for the Lou Piniella bat. So
Yeah, I got the Chris Chambliss bat. That was we have a story attached to, but yeah, that was interesting.
yeah, I don't know about bat days nowadays.
Yeah, I don't think you can have bat days at.
Of course, you have to pair it with helmet day. Yeah, how things have changed over the years.
Oh yeah, I mean, you could give away things like that back in the day. You can't do that now. You just can't.
Yeah, make sure you don't mix the bat day with like 50-cent beer day either, or else you're going to be having. You're going to be having. It's also going to be National Police Officer Day in the stadium as well.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I see that comment from Rich on Yankee Stadium on bat day. Stay away for sure, but Val, was that your last Yankee game we went to, 2001, where they gave away the Jeter bobbleheads?
Yeah, that was the last game. I think that's the last one I went to.
That
Me,
was
you, and Dad.
the old stadium too.
Oh, we got
Yes.
Uncle Rich. Hey, Uncle Rich.
I
Hey
guess all
there,
these
I
old
hate to break
stories.
up the old time chat, but I'm so honored to be in the presence of a PSA superstar like Logan.
Thank you.
And I just
Thank
wanted
you.
to give my congratulations for your magazine appearance, and you should have been on the cover instead of whoever this guy Otani is. I don't know
Yeah,
why
who is that
they
guy?
don't feature you as the collector instead of some guy who was the MVP and the unanimous MVP in the American League last year. I'm confused. I'm old. I miss things.
Me too. Thanks, Uncle Rich.
Yeah, there's a great article in there about Logan. Of course, you've been in there a few times too, so.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be in there. It's a great honor, needless to say. I appreciate all that they've done for me.
And maybe this year they'll actually bring back the luncheon.
That's the plan. I have not talked to Cassetta lately at PSA. I'll find out for sure, and I'll let everybody know what I know about that. But last time I had talked to her, she said she was going to be there. And she also said that we were going to have the luncheon, so let's hope for that this year. Because that's been missed the last few years.
I think the luncheon would be fascinating this year, because the question is: would Steve be the MC, or would Nat be the MC, or would somebody else be the MC?
That's a good question. I mean, or maybe just have all of them there. But I remember back when Joe was doing it, he would take questions. And then it got to a point where it was not a good thing for him to take questions. People were starting to get just a little bit rowdy with it, and so Joe didn't take questions anymore after that.
Well, I mean,
Could use some of those commemorative.
I sat on some of the. I know you've gone to more of them than I have. I've gone to some of them. Some of the questions are legit.
Yes.
Some of the questions were just designed to be, and plus, a couple years ago, that's when the grading scandal hit, and that was kind of a tough year to answer questions, because you're still human beings, and there probably are cards that got past PSA, and I'm not saying that to be mean. There are probably cards that get past Beckett. There are probably cards that got past SGC, and I don't think it's a conspiracy, but
no, it's not.
But people, gets to think the worst of things. And I'm glad to see all the improvements the grading companies are making to make things better.
Yeah, me too. I mean, they've invested a lot in technology, and of course, our own. You're getting ready to say Ryan Nolan. I'm trying to get it right. He's got his Spotting Fakes book, which has really helped out a lot too. So PSA and Beckett, all those companies, like I said, things have gotten a lot better. Like you say, I'm pretty sure some things have gotten through, but it's very few and far between.
Right, and so this year, if they took questions, the biggest question would be, where the bleep are my cards?
Oh God, yeah, that would be the overwhelming question.
And that's going to be another uncomfortable question, even though Sue's posted that PSA graded almost 1 million cards last month.
Yeah, I saw that. It was like over 950,000 cards in 1 month. That's impressive.
I mean, I thought they might have to wait till the end of the year to catch up. I think they may be caught up at this rate, even by doing shows by October or November, which is ahead of where I thought they would be. I thought maybe January next year would be the catch up. They may make it by October.
Yeah, PSA is doing a podcast now, the PSA Pod, and I was listening to that the other day, and Steve Sloan said that they're expecting to be caught up from the backlog by the fall or early fall.
Right. I think, yeah. So I agree. I mean, this is not a PSA advertisement, but they've done a wonderful job of catching up, considering, I mean, I work for a company that fell behind too. So let's be honest. Mm-hmm. I know how hard it is to catch up once you fall behind.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think all the companies have done a great job of catching up, because no one expected what happened. No one saw that coming.
No, we didn't see it coming. I mean, we were pre-pandemic, we were swamped but not falling behind. We could handle it at ComC. Let me tell you, we fell way behind.
Oh, yeah, I've heard stories about that. I mean, I heard people were sending in thousands and thousands and thousands of cards to be uploaded at one time. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't know how they're handling all that.
Well, the other problem is, to be honest, the problem with uploading was the same problem PSA had, Beckett had, SGC had. You're in the pandemic. You're limited to how many people can be in the building. If somebody gets sick, and we had people who got sick at ComC, you either have to shut down or you have to have people go in. So when people say, well, don't use that as an excuse, it's not an excuse. It's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't be crowded. Today, we're dealing with the pandemic or the endemic. Then we didn't have a vaccine. We didn't have things. You really had to really be very careful. And so it's a very hands-on business. And you couldn't be hands-on.
Yeah, we take the hands away. That kind of cripples you.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we talked about the tidal wave. You know, it was like the worst kept secret that PSA was going to go up on their prices. So everybody decided they were going to send in, you know, that last price increase. You know, I'm guilty of it as well. I mean, so they're still sitting there. They're in grading, so they should be popping here soon. But you know, I heard they had a tidal wave of submissions where it was like a few months worth of submissions in just the 1 month. So for PSA anyway.
And I keep saying, and I know Steve Sloan. I did listen a little to it when Mike Summer posted that on Twitter. I still think PSA is going to end up with a $20 to $25 price range for some cards someday.
They've got to, Rich, because you know they've got the registry. They've got just the normal collectors like myself and Val and all everybody else that are just trying to compete on the registry. You don't want to get a common, you know, 1991 Topps baseball card graded for $50 to compete on the registry to try to complete the set. You're just not going to do that.
No, and the other thing is that you've hired so many people, you have to keep them well employed. You know, if they are good graders, you don't want to cut them from your staff for something they didn't do. And if you can lower I'm guessing, but my guess is that it costs from start to finish $5 to $6 to grade a card. If it's $5 to $6 to grade a card, you're happy with a $20 price point. You may not want a $12 price point anymore, but you want a $20. It all depends what you consider the cost of goods sold of the grading.
Yeah, I'm hoping for $15. I don't think we'll ever be on that one.
Logan, I don't think I'd be rooting for 20.
I'm rooting for 15, but we'll see. I hope I'm right.
I hope you're right too. I mean, and I hope you're right for all the companies. But I think your eventual price point is going to be about 20. That's just I have no knowledge. It's just instinct based on experience.
Well, I'll be, one thing I'll be interested in, I don't know if you guys talked about this a little bit before I hopped on, but like PSA just announced that they're going to be doing a vault like coming up in the near future. So I'd be interested to see if they end up, and I don't know if this was in the announcement, if they would do some sort of PSA marketplace where, you know, you have your vault, but you can sell and buy through PSA. So like, I wonder if that ends up cutting down on any type of timing or, I mean, it's got to save money on shipping. So I wonder if if they are going to offer, you know, maybe it's a $15 service where your card goes directly into the vault and you're saving the money on shipping or something along those lines. So, I mean, I definitely would be interested to see kind of what they do from that standpoint, or if they, I don't know, if they buy if they buy a marketplace where, you know, their vault becomes the marketplace of X company or however they're kind of planning on doing that. Because I mean, from my perspective, I think that's sort of one of the trends we're seeing is like, you know, trading digitally. Like ComC is a perfect example. Like you can buy and sell on ComC without ever getting the physical cards in your hand. So like, but you are buying and selling a physical product. So I think the trading digitally is going to be more of the norm, where I think now it still is, but I think it's going to become more and more common where like some people do end up getting their cards. Like if it's a big, if it's a big graded card, like you want that shipped. But if it's more commons and bases, I think it makes more sense, and it's more cost efficient for a lot of collectors to just buy and sell on some sort of platform, whether it's ComC or anywhere else, rather than eBay, or if, like I said, if PSA does some sort of marketplace. I think like I said, the trading digitally of the actual physical asset, I think is going to become a lot more mainstream than maybe it is now.
Adam, did you read the article I posted in our group from Forbes?
I skimmed it, but if I'm sure I didn't.
For higher level cards,
they're
already working on the arrangement with Golden, since they're all part of the same umbrella. You get the card graded by PSA, you can send it to Golden. There may be Golden may be able to handle. He's done it in the past. He may be able to handle lower price cards as well.
Right.
So there may be, or they may have the vault. And frankly, that sounds like, I'm going to use the word, a Fanatics stream, where Fanatics does it, sets up where you can, remember how they want to control may be the wrong word, but they want to be involved in all parts of the market. Well, what would be better than having a vault that, you buy your card from Fanatics, you send it back to them, you get it graded or encapsulated, and then they handle through their vault the secondary sell for you. That sounds like that sounds like a game plan for Fanatics too. There's 8 vaults that I know of out there. There's something like 8 vaults I've heard of already. I only heard about 5 or 6, but apparently some were announcing themselves at the Mint Collective in Vegas. So I've heard of a couple more that aren't official yet. So there's a vault service is going to be good. And John, as far as I know, the thing about the vault is so far right now, the only vaults I've heard of are in places like Delaware and Oregon. John, you live in Pennsylvania. You probably could go get your cards in person in Delaware if you ended up with a Delaware one. I don't think you're going to go to Oregon. Well, actually, you have enough miles. You might do that.
So I'm wondering, like, Adam, you kind of hit on it with like ComC, but can you buy and resell on a platform and keep that, like ComC, keep that money there? So not to avoid taxes, but it's kind of its own ecosystem as opposed to buying and selling, and then we know anything over $600 and whatever for eBay and PayPal and the rest of them. It kind of kicks out the 1099, I think S or whatever it is. But if you had a platform that was like its own ecosystem, could you buy and resell there and not have to worry about like for the taxes yet? Because really, it's just in that own ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, like at this point, like it feels like anybody who's buying and selling anything should just be prepared to have to pay some sort of taxes on it. Like I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago, you could kind of slide by, like if you were right under the threshold, or even if you were like a little bit above the threshold. But like I said, at this point, you should just be prepared for some sort of bill to come through. But I also think like, with like OpenSea and with NFTs, like it's clear that people are willing to buy and sell something without having the physical, without having to get it physically. Like, because obviously with NFTs, there's nothing even physical necessarily to own. Like you're just owning the contract that you're buying and selling. So I think with cards, like, I think there still will be a sector of people who want the cards and they want to have the physical cards in hand. But I also think there may be another sector of people, like, when I discovered ComC for the first time, I was like, this is the way that in my opinion, I was like, this is the way that it should be. Like, it should be that you can buy and sell these cards, especially, with ComC, there's such a wide variety of different cards you can buy. You can buy anything from like a 1930s, Disney Mickey Mouse card to like, a 2022 Prism card. It's like the opportunity is easy to, and they don't have everything, but like, I guess everybody kind of understands kind of the point, but like, I just think that that's sort of the way that should be, I guess, in a way. Like, make it as easy to buy and sell as possible, I think is definitely a good strategy for companies that are kind of looking to get into that market a little bit.
And that's frankly what I liked about the original premise of Star Stocks. It had a limited world that they wanted to do. And I think if they had stayed with that limited world, and maybe expounded slowly, instead of trying to do it all at once, I think that might have been more of a recipe for success. If you basically limit what you're doing in today's world, it's not the worst thing in the world. COM-C set up to be wide. That's okay. But if you're not, if you're beginning, you should not set up to be wide. You should set up to be maybe more narrow, maybe only PSA, maybe only BGS, maybe only SGC, maybe only the big three, maybe only CSG, the big four. Just figure out where you want to be, and from the other thing I heard about the Mint Collective is there were a lot of really cool, specifically targeted apps and plans. People are looking to find the market inefficiencies. I'm a big fan of finding market inefficiencies, because if you find the market inefficiency and you can fix it, we're talking about Dr. Beckett. Well, his market inefficiency was that the hobby was in chaos. We're not really in chaos anymore. Now we're really looking more for fixing smaller things. But if you can fix the smaller thing and make a profit on it, that's actually good business.
Finding that niche, that's it.
I've sort of used this example. Like, I think the hobby in sports cards is kind of moving from like when, you played fantasy baseball or fantasy football and you had to get the newspaper and you had to find all the stats and you had to write down all the stats. And now, everything is online and like ESPN. So I think this is the example that I've kind of used for where the hobby has gone in the past like 2 years. It's moved from kind of everything being like pen and paper to a lot online. So, I mean, you look at companies like Card Ladder. I just think that there's so much more information now too, that it's like, there's no way that you can, you can't really get away with like telling someone something that isn't true. Like, and I'm not saying that everybody was doing this, but like if you were going to a card show, you were kind of trusting that the person selling the card knew what the price was. But nowadays you can go and you can show them an eBay, or you can show them the market movers, or you can show them Card Ladder, and you can show them the actual market price at the current moment. And, some people say that's maybe a good thing. Some people say that maybe it's not a good thing. I just think that we're moving quickly into an era that is way more transparent, which is, I think, overwhelmingly going to be a positive for the hobby in this kind of era and where we're moving towards.
Yeah, you made me think of when you go to a card show, there's no prices on it, and everybody's like, all right, everybody goes out to eBay, and the buyer and the seller all go out and look, and then, try to agree upon our price. So.
All right. Well, we are sorry. I didn't mean to switch the discussion. I don't know if this was planned or not, but I just want to congratulate Logan. But I think we had a really cool discussion starting with that. So I apologize if I hijacked things.
No, you're perfect. So, and I don't know, Jeff, if you have any other thoughts, appreciate you calling in.
That 70s card you put on there. Appreciate the new tech. Really appreciate it that it doesn't have to be adopted to prosper the hobby. So, yeah, these vault things, which I mentioned earlier. PSA getting things slabbed as a collector first, not in the hobby to be a business person. As a collector, I appreciate the low price point of getting a card done through PSA. So $15-$20. If you're truly a collector and you want to get your fill in the blank card done, you want that sweet spot where it's going to, of course, be cost effective for the company to make money, but to prohibit, like Logan said, people dumping cards in there to get graded for registry and stuff. So I think it's a difficult spot to be in for those companies. But, I know usually the collector is the last person people think about, but glad to see that some of these things have benefited the collect, especially check out my cards. where you can physically get your stuff and shop. And so really interesting and exciting time to be in the hobby. So
Very much, yeah. I was gonna say, well, we were talking about that soon, the tidal wave of cards. So that tidal wave of cards will be coming here. So we'll be curious to see over the next 6-8 months the amount of graded cards we'll see maybe at the national or at your local card shop, and what that does for. And I guess it all depends on what's graded. If it's all current basketball or whatever, which is my suspicion, and new football, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think John is spot on about cheap slabs hitting the circuit pretty soon. I mean, there's going to be a glutton, I think, of graded cards. I think you're going to see a tsunami of slabs, so to speak. Now, I mean, you guys, honestly, I mean, if they're grading almost 1 million cards a month, I mean, those cards have to land somewhere, and if they're not selling, people are going to have to lower their prices. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see.
Yep. I know we're over the time here. Appreciate everybody in the chat and or just watching. Let's see here. Any other thoughts, anybody, before we head out?
Shout out to Texas Card Dude. # skid marks.
Too funny.
I was just so sorry. I had a fun thing come up for last Saturday, which is why I had to pull out of the show. So I figured a guest appearance today would make up for last Saturday. I got to do something I'd never done before, which was be on a mock jury trial. And they paid me good coins. So I'm thinking, okay, hobby hotline for free or check in my pocket. I know which choice I made.
Too funny. Adam, any
$600, so I don't have to declare it.
Okay. I figured maybe they pay you in cards, some wax boxes or something.
With that. I would be the only one thrilled with that. There were some people I'm sure would have said, "What the bleep are you paying us with that for?" I said, "Just give them to me. I'll take them."
Slide over a couple of boxes of Series 1. Adam, anything before we head out?
I mean, my parting message on most shows is just always that the hobby is always growing, and there's always new people coming in that don't know all the stuff that we know. So if you see someone that has a question, or you see someone asking you a question, just answer the question as politely as possible, because there's people we know the difference between Prism and optic, but there's people that don't even know what Prism is. So there's going to be new people coming in every single day who have questions, and just always remember what it was like for you when you got back into the hobby. So just answer those questions as politely as possible. This is kind of just an overlaying message I always like to remind people, and just answer the questions and be nice to the people that are new, because they're the people that are helping us grow in the way that we all are looking for the hobby to grow.
I think very well said. Yeah, we all love the hobby, want to see it grow, and we want. That's one thing I always talk about in the show. I like that things increase in price and stuff like that, and people enjoy that. And that they made a good decision. But my fear is, people get burned and then they leave the hobby. So I'd rather more folks join the hobby. So just a shout out for Tuesday's show. Drew, Suze, and Ryan Nolan will be on Tuesday night.
That should be really good. Ryan Nolan is in Montana for a show this weekend.
Oh my gosh.
He is trying to hit every state in the union for a show. So he found one in Montana. God bless him. It's apparently he's got to take 2 flights to get there from where he is in Florida, and obviously 2 flights back. And it's exciting just to hear about a show in Montana.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So everyone will tune into that Tuesday night.
I guess it's at the Dutton Ranch, maybe.
I'm sure a person involved in that one getting to that show.
Yeah. Logan, anything? Otherwise, we'll head out.
No, just watch NASCAR radio or listen to NASCAR radio on Fridays.
Yep. And we got some basketball and everything else to watch this weekend. So All right, everybody. Have a great weekend and join or catch the show on Tuesday night. We're out of here.
See you guys. Huh?